So I am going to be labeling this video something along the lines of news we all expected, but didn't become official until today because the deadline has officially passed for NFL teams to give fifth-year options to those that were drafted in the first round of the 2020 NFL draft. And as you can see, the Miami Dolphins have declined the fifth-year options for offensive tackle Austin Jackson and cornerback Noah Igbinoghene. Obviously, we already had the Dolphins pick up Tua's fifth-year option. That happened back on March 20th. So he has got his fifth year picked up for 2024. But as you can see, Austin Jackson, Noah Igbinoghene, not going to happen for 2024. Austin Jackson would have been guaranteed 14.2 million in 24. Noah Igbinoghene, on the other hand, would have been guaranteed 11.5 million in 2024. Now, I should say it doesn't mean that they're completely out of the picture for 2024. It just means that they are set to hit free agency at the end of the 2023 season. So after this season, they're fair game. They can re-sign with Miami, but the door is open for them to re-sign elsewhere as well. And it's kind of curious to see how each player kind of differs going into this season. If you look at Austin Jackson, yeah, we declined his fifth-year option. But look at the depth chart. The way it is right now, he's penciled in as starting right tackle. So he's in one class where it's like, okay, we didn't pick him up, but he's right now, I don't want to say solidified in a starter's role, but he's penciled in as a starter's role. And by comparison, you've got Noah Igbinoghene, and he's battling for a roster spot. So there are some stark differences in these two players for their 2023 season outlooks, because we look at the right tackle position, and yeah, right now it's Austin Jackson. And then we didn't really necessarily draft an outright tackle. Ryan Hayes, who we did draft, that's played left tackle at Michigan, probably is going to slide in at guard and compete there. We did bring in some undrafted free agents that'll be competition for Austin Jackson. But then you also got to look at what veterans are available in free agency, because we passed on the guys like the Mike McGlincheys of the world. But that doesn't mean that we're done adding to the position. But what it likely means is that we're done adding a potential plug and play option at the position. So anyone that might get brought in at this point in time, likely going to be a tier or two down. So maybe while it is competition for Austin Jackson, it's not going to be like, okay, this is that guy that can slot in over him. It will be a true camp battle if we bring in those veteran offensive linemen to compete. But then you look at Noah Igbinoghene's situation, and it's quite different because he's penciled in nowhere near a starting role, especially we traded for Jalen Ramsey. Obviously, he's starting opposite Xavier Howard. You drafted Cam Smith in the second round. Obviously, Fangio, McDaniel, Chris Greer have plans for him already, likely in 2023. You brought Nick Needham back. You've got Kader Kohu that's emerging. You brought a couple other guys back. Noah Igbinoghene's future, quite honestly, on the line. And I actually played around a little bit with the team's depth chart last night. It's going to be a tall task. It is going to be a tough task for him to make it. And all this time, he's kind of been coasting by, not necessarily on performance, but on that draft capital. Well, at this point in time, now that we've added Ramsey and we've invested new draft capital into a guy such as Cam Smith, like I said, Noah Igbinoghene is skating on thin ice right now, and his roster spot is far from guaranteed the way it has been the last couple of years. But like I said, we had those 3 first-rounders in 2020. Only Tua gets his fifth-year option picked up. And it's a day like today, you can't help but think, like, what could have been? Because I go back to that draft, and I've had people ask me in the past, like, if you could redraft the 2020 NFL draft, what would you have done differently? I've always said I was a Tua guy. I wanted Tua from day one. I'm cool with that pick. But what I personally wanted at that point in time, package a deal that included one or both of those first round picks and get way up in the draft and get one of the top tackles. Instead, we settled getting like the last of the first round tackles in Austin Jackson. And then we took a raw cornerback. We took a guy that didn't have a lot of cornerback experience after we traded back from when the Packers traded up to get Jordan Love. And we took a guy like Noah Igbinoghene. And at that point in time, you have hope for these kind of guys, these athletes, these guys that you can grow and develop. Hindsight's always 2020, but it's a day like today where you think, you know what possibly could have been. And one last little nugget that I'll throw in about Austin Jackson, because I know a lot of the fan base is down on him. They're thinking, you know what, if this is the guy we're rolling in with the starter position at right tackle. I don't feel comfortable. Tua and his health long term. What are we without our starting quarterback? We saw it last year. I have been told that, and granted, OTAs haven't even started yet, but Austin Jackson's attitude, physique, demeanor, there's something noticeably different this time around. And I don't know if he realizes, like, hey, this is my last time around the block with Miami. This is my last chance to prove myself. I have a starting spot right now. I got to earn and keep it. I don't know what it is, but I have just been told there's a little something different about Austin Jackson. So take that for what it's worth. Hopefully his demeanor and his attitude translates onto the field and we get some quality play. But that is what I got for Austin Jackson, Noah Igbinoghene. If you haven't done so already, go back and check out the draft videos we did. We did a recap for each player, each of the 4 selections that the Miami Dolphins had. We had a video highlighting the undrafted free agents the Dolphins have agreed to terms with. And then we also did a grades, but more so than grades, it was more so a reasoning behind each of the Dolphins picks in the 2023 draft. But like I said, that is what I have got for today. Drop your thoughts on the 5th-year option declines in the comments. Let's carry on the conversation there. But that's my time for today, Dolphins fans. And until next time, fins up.